Hello and welcome to a new episode of 5 Career Questions. I am super excited today to be joined by Sharyn Casey. Hello, Sharyn. Welcome. Thank you for joining
Hello.
me.
Oh, it's nice to see you. I haven't seen you since you used to massage my dog.
Exactly. I know. It's a long time ago. Okay, so just briefly in terms of background, you've been in broadcasting for about 20 years, I think,
Yep.
as a radio and TV host, and you now also have your own podcast, the Better Me podcast. Um, as you mentioned, we first met when I was in my previous business in Auckland, and I was massaging the lovely Warren G. And then I reached out to you on the back of an episode of your podcast, the Pivot like Ross Geller, but in the workplace episode. So, welcome. Are you ready?
I think so. I am. I'm going to be very professional. I just listened to a podcast that I had done recently, and the amount of times I said "like" is driving me crazy. So
Oh.
I'm going to try my best not to be annoying.
Okay. All right. First question. Tell me about a time when you experienced a bit of a career transition, or maybe you felt a bit stuck.
Well, I've actually just been through that. So I was working for The Edge, which was a top 40 radio station in New Zealand. And I kind of just got to this point where I had spent my entire adult life there. And I'd been there going on 19 years and I just had enough. And so at the moment, I'm currently in the transition because I quit my job the end of last year. And it all happened very quickly. It was like, yeah, no, I'm out. And then it was just like to get out of there. And it's been the best thing that I've ever done. Like I think that when you feel the gut feeling that you need to do it, you've got to just do it. And it's a weird, I thought that I would feel a lot more anxiety and a lot more weird, but it's weirdly not as bad as I thought it would be. But the transition of like everybody always asks me like, what are you going to do now? What are you going to do now? And I'm like, I don't know yet. I'm not quite sure. But in the meantime, I still have my foot in because I'm still doing the podcast and I'm doing like coaching some upcoming female announcers and stuff like that, which is quite good. So it's kind of a slow fade, which I think is helpful when you're making that transition. But I think the biggest part is just jumping when the time is right.
Yeah. And it's that kind of like mix that sense of like relief with like, oh, a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, nice. So as we go through our careers, what's important to us changes, right? So what one way have your priorities changed, do you think?
I used to kind of live and die by whether or not we got good ratings and whether or not that was something and I thought that it was something that I could control. And I think as I had my first child, I like it softened a little bit where I kind of realized what was more important. And then after I had my second child, who was 3 months premature, it was a really traumatic pregnancy and birth, and he was in NICU for 7 weeks. It was after that, I kind of just realized that I need to control the controllables and remembering what's important. And my husband Bryce used to always say to me, you're giving everything there and we get the scraps, whereas it needs to be we get everything and they get the scraps kind of thing. And that was something that really made my kind of brain tick, and just saying no to things that I really didn't need to do, whereas I used to say yes to anything, even if it was detrimental to my mental health or energy or whatever. I would be like, yeah, oh my God, of course. Like before I go to work, I can absolutely fit in 3 different jobs and then go to work. Whereas as I kind of got older, my priorities changed and my boundaries changed. I kind of looked at it and was like, well, no, I'm going to do one thing before work and that's it. And I can't be there till 9:30 because I need to drop my kids off and I need to have time to go get some caffeine, and then I'm yours, like whatever. And so I think as I got older, I just realized what was more important and putting those boundaries in. And once I started putting the boundaries in, I realized it wasn't actually that scary. And people will always take advantage of the fact that you're going to say yes. And when you start saying no, it's a bit scary, but they actually don't care. They're just doing their job by asking.
Yeah, exactly. And it's that process that you kind of go through, isn't it? By saying yes to this, what am I going to have to say no to, versus the other way around? By saying no to this, what can I then say yes to, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So, third question. What are a couple of key resources or maybe pieces of advice that you've had along the way that really stick with you?
Well, I did an interview on the podcast with Sir John Kirwan, who, if you don't know who he is, he's one of New Zealand's like greatest All Blacks. He was also a real game changer in terms of mental health, especially with men in New Zealand, because it was something that men in New Zealand, it was always like, she'll be right, harden up, mate, have a concrete pill. And to see John Kirwan, who is one of the most iconic, memorable, legendary All Blacks, come out and say, hey, this is my experience with mental health, was a real game changer. And I always found him really fascinating. And when I was interviewing him, he talked about how his dad, when his dad was passing, that his dad said, JK, if you died tomorrow, would you be happy? And JK was like, oh, nah, I wouldn't be. And his dad said to him, you need to start living for now. Don't start living when you find out you're going to die. And so JK kind of changed his life after he heard that question, and he really thought about it. And ever since JK told me that story, I couldn't stop thinking about it. And I think it's a really good question to ask yourself, like, if I had to die tomorrow, would I be happy with where my life is? Or am I going through the motions? Am I doing things that I hate? Am I spending more time doing things that don't make me happy? Because on our deathbed, we're not going to be remembering those things. We're going to be, And so I think that's a really deep but helpful analogy.
Super powerful. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
But I also think it's just really important to have a mentor in your life that you really trust. And I've always had that with my big boss, Leon. He's always been my mentor. And then just having people around you that actually are also in the industry that you're doing, but they're removed directly from you. So like Leon was my boss, so he was a great mentor. But also I had people outside that were removed that had no skin in the game, and they gave me really good advice and really good mentorship. And I think that that's really important as well, like to have a mentor within your industry, but somebody that also knows it but doesn't have skin in the game.
Yeah, great. Okay, so I hate, loathe and detest coriander, which you probably didn't know about me. But so thinking about that sense of, something you really can't tolerate, really can't bear it in a work context, what would be your coriander?
Arrogance. I hate arrogance. I hate people that don't feel like they can get better, that they're just nailing it and, F what everybody else thinks. And I hate when people complain about not getting an opportunity that they haven't asked for, because I think that if you want something, you have to work really hard for it. If an opportunity comes up, then you need to put your hand up. If you need to put your hand up and get off the wall, because the person that's on the wall is, no one's going to ask you to do something. You've got to go in there and be like, hey, I would really like that opportunity. Here's why. And really advocate for yourself. Because I hate so much, and I hear it all the time, of people being like, I can't believe I didn't get that job, or I can't believe they didn't ask me to do that, and blah, blah. And I'm always thinking, well, did you ask? Did you express an interest? Did you give it a crack? No. Well, then they're not going to ask you, because they don't think you want it. Because if you want it, you're going to ask. And so I think the pity party is probably what I hate the most from people that don't actually have the pity party if you gave it your all to try to get the opportunity.
Absolutely. If it's worthwhile, give it your all. Yeah, totally. Yeah. Okay. So you'll be familiar with the Maori concept of a koha as a gift. So using that concept loosely, obviously, if you could give a koha to somebody right now going through a career transition or feeling a bit stuck, what would that koha be?
My koha would be, you really have to trust yourself and you have to fight for yourself, because if you're not fighting for yourself, nobody else is going to. And you have to trust your judgment, because there will be people that try to question you. But if you know in your heart and you know in your gut, that's the greatest koha that you can give yourself, because your gut feeling is 99% of the time going to be right. So my gift would be just please trust yourself and trust your judgment, because if it goes wrong, that's all right. We'll just try something different. Go back, beg for mercy if you want to. But most of the time, there's not many people that I have spoken to that have made the transition and regretted it.
No,
ever.
Exactly. Whenever I think about times when I have gone against my instinct, it hasn't been good. The outcome. Yeah.
No, never.
Okay, thank you. So that's the end of your 5 curly Q questions, but I do have a mystery question for you.
Oh, okay.
Concept I borrowed from Stephen Bartlett. So this is was left by a previous guest. So your mystery question: what advice would you give your 18-year-old self?
Stop caring too much about what other people think. Like, don't listen to the opinions of assholes. You can tell if somebody doesn't have and you know, if someone's always trying to make you feel bad about you trying, don't listen to that. And quality over quantity, because it's better to have one great person in your life than have everybody like you. And I think that that's really important, because I definitely fell into a trap of listening to the wrong people at the start of my career. And it really affected me long term, because I just had these voices in my head that weren't welcome. So I think, that would be my thing for sure. I would tell my 18-year-old self not to listen to the opinions of dickheads. And I'd also tell myself earlier, I try and tell this to people that I mentor now, is you wouldn't be doing it if you weren't good enough. And so instead of getting up there and being like, oh my God, everyone's going to think I'm so bad, like blah, blah, is thinking, actually, I've been asked to do this because they believe that I'm the best person for it. So I'm going to show them why I am the best person for it. Not sitting there being like, oh, they should have got this person to do it or that person to do it. Is you wouldn't be in the room if you weren't the best person to be doing that job. So just go for it and have the best time, rather than wasting emotion on whether or not you are good enough. Because clearly you are good enough, or you wouldn't have got the job. Yeah, totally. So that would be my ones.
Nice. Oh, I love that. Brilliant. Thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you here and to see you. So yes, I'll look forward to getting your question.
Ooh, I have to think.